Okay, testing, 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 testing. 1, 2. All right, testing. Hey, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's see. Oh, 안녕. What? 안녕하세요. Salam. Let's see. Shafika. Husna Werewolf. What? What's going on? Is there like some inside joke that I'm not aware of here? Okay, let's see how many is online right now. This is not the whole class yet. So I can check the entire attendance here. Hope everyone is doing fine today. Thanks for making it online. Yeah, my leg is in quite a deep pain right now, so walking can be quite hard, let alone driving, right? So let's see who else is not here. We have Afik, we have Aimi, Diana, Farhani, Husna Liza, Nabila Huda, Nabiha, Iza, Salsabila, Shafika, Wani. Where are the rest? Yeah. How many of you are sharing devices, by the way? Thank you, thank you. I mean, and you guys too, right? If you guys ever feel like your body is not feeling well, or you have a fever, or you have pain in any part of your body, please get checked and please get rest, right? We are in a day and time where diseases and conditions are just getting worse and worse, so better get treated before it's too late, rah. Okay, Alia, Maisara, there you are. Everybody's here. Okay, let me see. Yesterday I actually used a hand cam to actually, because I don't have a whiteboard right here, right? So I have several techniques to actually do this. One, I can actually activate my camera here, my secondary camera, and I can actually use this to, what you call this, write while, you know, that's what I did last night actually, just to show things. But the thing is, my camera, for some reason, it's not zooming very well. I think the writing is kind of blurry, right? Because the lens isn't focusing properly. I'm not sure. The focus on this thing is really unusual and weird. So when you're far, I think it shows it in a better one. I think it's a bit hard to read that, right? Oops, okay, I think the page flipped away. All right, I think it's a bit, okay, I think this is easier, but okay, never mind. We'll use this when I need to use it. I think I'd rather open, what's the name of that software again? WPS. But I hope everyone is doing fine. Okay, so are you guys in the classroom at Jurjani, or are you guys, what you call this, in your room in Mahala? Where are you guys right now? It's my software. Where are all of you right now? Jurjani, ooh. All of you are there, or just half the class, or LRB3? Ooh. Cafe. Okay, wherever you are, just make yourself comfortable, because when it's an online class, you can like wear anything you want, or you can be drinking or discussing your friends and stuff like that. Yeah. All right. Just let me set up this one thing for a while so that everything becomes clear. Uh, uh, and then activate capture. Why isn't it capturing right now? You guys don't see anything on the screen other than my webcam, right? Because if that's the case, I need to deactivate something for a while. Okay. So today we are going to be covering, let's see, a little bit of chapter 6 and a little bit of chapter 7, right? So chapter 5 is a chapter that I need to discuss face to face, because that requires activities, and it's a more hands-on chapter. It's home. Whoa, you're already home. That is very, very fast. Wow, can't wait for the holidays, huh? Of course, it's always good to be back home, right? Okay, let's see. All right, this works. Great. So I can actually put this under my. Hey, where did it go? Okay, great. Mahala. Awal ya awal balik wani. Oh my god, that's really, really early. Okay, so you guys can see my software here, right? Okay, I can type there so I can talk while typing. Okay, so let's start the class. Okay, assalamualaikum. So we're gonna start chapter 6. Now, before I begin, okay, I hope you guys have your textbook with you. There are a couple of errors in your current textbook, all right? So please take note of that. The major error is on page 80. So turn to page 80. Okay, page 80, the table, all right? Now, first of all, actually, in page 79 itself, all right, it says that table 6.7 provides APA reference examples, but down there it says table 6.10. So, yeah, the numbering of the tables, that's already messed up. So just correct the number of the tables. But on page 80 is the major error. And the reason is because right now we are using the 7th edition of APA. And this book was written, I think it's EPA 6th edition. And one of the major differences is if you're referring to more than 3 authors or more than 6 authors, all right? So if you look at page 80, you look at the very bottom there, right? Journal article with 6 or more authors. So on the left column, when you are, let's say, writing your assignment and referring to a particular, what you call this? You're referring to a particular book or journal written by many authors, you just mention the first author followed by et al. So et al is like, and the rest or and others or then line or whatever have you, right? Now, in the old APA format, when you list out the reference on the reference pages, you list out all the authors. That's the old format. However, in the current 7th edition, when you are listing out the authors, you only put the first 3 names and then et al. All right. So let's say I'll take some random names here in the group. Let's say, for example, let's say Diana. Okay, let's say Dian, Farhani, and Saif. Okay, so let's. Oh, why do you retract your message? Hey, don't run away. I'm not angry or anything. Okay. Now let's say you guys wrote a book or a journal article together, right? So you let's say for example that Dian is the leader. So you just say according to Azhar et al. 2020. Now that's if you're writing it within your assignment or paragraph or whatever have you. But let's say, for example, you are doing it in the list of references at the back of the assignment. What you do is this. I'll type it out here in the chat so it's easy to remember. Let's see, Azhar D, and then you have Bidin F, and then the name of the person without Ridoudin S et al. 2020. So when I write like this, okay, and then the article title, journal name. Okay. So you may notice, okay, I just type in the chat here. So let's say, for example, Dian and Farhani and Saif and the rest of you guys wrote an article together, all right? There are more than 3 of you. But then you just write the first 3 and then et al. One reason why this is done now is because it's actually to discourage having too many authors writing an article. Because come on, if an article is 10 pages and you have 10 people writing, don't tell me one person wrote 1 page and then you just get that much money for that. You have to be fair, so make it 3 people or less, just to discourage that basically, right? So just so you know the current format. Okay, chapter 6 is pretty much, just knowing how to cite and knowing the format. It's pretty much, I would call it, what you call this? A reading chapter. Just make sure you know the guidelines, make sure you know the rules. I'm going to share a link here, by the way, only on the chat. So those who are actually in the class would know that this is the important part. By the way, where is everybody? Because the only active user there's only one active user right now. What is going on? What just happened? So yes, guys, I can actually check how many people are currently active or how many are lurking or Now, where's everybody? This is weird. Okay. I only see 2 active people. Okay, 3 active people. Okay, suddenly everybody's appearing when I call you guys out. Yeah, that's the thing. I can, the software I have can actually detect who is, not putting the phone away or who's actually actively on YouTube. So be careful. I can actually detect it very easily. All right. Ha ha ha. Yeah, one is there. Ha 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 there. So be careful, guys. I can see who's appearing and disappearing on the spot. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna post this link here. And this is basically a sample that uses the latest edition of APA, right? Because currently we are 7th edition, no longer 6th edition. So follow that. So chapter 6 is pretty much that, just knowing how to cite, knowing the format. This is more of an exercise chapter. In fact, chapter 5 and chapter 6 is basically that, just exercises and exercises. Nothing much to cover. Now, the real meat begins in chapter 7. So, if you guys have a textbook right now, I'll be talking about chapter 7, and I will not be talking about 7.1 and 7.2 yet, because 7.1 and 7.2 actually has been covered way back in chapter 1. So, I will not repeat it yet later on. What I will do, however, is I'll talk about 7.4. Now, 7.4, and by the way, one thing about chapter 7 onwards is this is where the syllabus suddenly slows down and things get really, really interesting. All right. And number two, depending on how your statistics lecturer is teaching you, some of the stuff I teach you might actually complement statistics or might have already been explained in that subject, so you'll understand things a bit better, right? And 7.3, I trust most of you actually have already taken thinking skills. 7.3 is from thinking skills, inductive and deductive reasoning, which I think you guys are already familiar with from thinking skills, right? But if you need help with that, let me know. So the true beginning of chapter 7 is actually 7.4. Now, in 7.4, and by the way, I will show samples of questions just to guide you guys. Do not worry about that. Okay, we are going to talk about two incredibly important concepts in research and life in general, right? Wait, I need to make the font much, 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 much bigger so that everybody can read it, right? So we have the concept of validity and we have the concept of reliability. So guys, if let's say you come across these two words, what is the meaning of validity and reliability to you guys? Try and answer this. What is reliability and what is validity? Hey, where's everyone? And I have to say that this question, when it comes out, a lot of people tend to confuse the two because they are quite similar and they are definitely interrelated. I think my internet connection is good right now. So, yeah. So guys, try. What is reliability and what is validity? Okay, what do you mean by something that is reliable? Define reliable. Okay, validity is certified. Okay, any other answers? What do you mean by depend on something else? Okay, let's say, for example, all right, um, you have a friend and you said that your friend is reliable. What do you mean by your friend is reliable? Consistent. Okay, that's Sophia. Is Alia, right? So Alia has a very good answer there. Consistent. But what do you mean by consistent? What makes you say that someone is consistent? What's the definition of okay? Can be trusted, right? So what makes you trust that friend? Okay, you can refer, but what makes you can refer to that person? Husna, are you giving the book definition? Oh, let's see, what are your answers? Uh, okay, now I'll explain to you guys. Okay, so you guys are answering. Okay, how about validity? What is validity? Most of you are answering about reliability, but what is validity? Yeah, valid, but what do you mean by valid? That's like asking, what is IIUM? It's a university. Come on, don't give me those kind of answers. Farhani has a very good answer. Sahih, sahih. Oh my God, you have Arabic there. Okay, but what do you mean by sahih? You're giving very vague answers here. Give a more solid answer. Yeah, basically how truthful or how accurate something is, right? So validity is always about accuracy and how correct something is. And then reliability is always about how consistent something is. Okay, to make matters more interesting, when it comes to validity and reliability, there are four types of each. You have internal validity, you have external validity, you have ecological validity, and you have time validity. To make it awesome, reliability also, wait, wrong monitor. Sorry, 'cause I have two monitors here. If I were to show you my setup right now in my room, this is how it's going on, all right? So I have my main monitor where I'm actually using my software and reading the chat, and I can check the attendance so easily here. So not everybody's there, right? Haha. And then over here, I actually have my typing part. So I don't show the entire desktop to you guys. Whoa, that's my reference. Oh, by the way, my figurines here say hi to you guys. Okay, never mind. All right. But where was I? Yeah, I have like a very elaborate setup over here because I do streaming work and all that. So yeah, I have a lot of stuff going on here. Okay, why? Okay, here's the funny thing, all right? True story. This book, it's actually still a work in progress. So I somehow they kind of deleted the last type of validity. So that's why I'm mentioning it to you guys, all right? Just in case. So yeah, there are actually four types of validity, and likewise, there are also four types of reliability, which is internal reliability. There is external. Yeah, that's the thing. This book has errors. This book is not perfect. Like the errors in chapter six, there are a lot of errors. I'll point out more in WhatsApp later on. And then somehow they accidentally removed the last type of reliability and validity. Okay, so you also have equal. Okay, here's the thing, it's in the syllabus. And I'm making sure that every lecturer covers this. So, yeah, I'm giving a hint there technically, right? RT. Okay. So, I'm okay. Wrong monitor. Sorry. I have to click on the right monitor. All right. So there are four types of reliability and four types of validity. So oftentimes, and I'll show the sample question later on, it is very easy for students to actually get mixed up between them because look at this. Yeah, look at you can see my cursor there, right? The names are the same, meaning internal, internal, external, external, and reliability and validity are interrelated. So if you get confused, that can cost you marks. Okay. So I'm going to go very, 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 very slow here. If you want me to re explain, I do not mind. All right. Like last night when I did this with another section, I actually spent like more than 2 hours talking about this.
And I don't mind, because this one is one of the trickier chapters, right? So I will be here to help you guys. Okay, so let's talk about validity, all right? First of all, validity is about how correct something is or how accurate something is. And what determines validity? There are many things. First of all, you always have to refer to definitions, all right? So if something does not fit the definition, or something does not fit the symptoms, or if something does not fit the signs, or if something does not fit the requirements, or something does not fit the criteria, therefore that thing is not exactly valid. For example, let's say somebody's let's use the COVID-19 as an example, all right? So people are saying, oh, I might have COVID-19, saya tengah sakit sekarang. But then again, what are the symptoms of COVID-19? Do you have all the symptoms or not? For how long have you had these symptoms? Have you been in contact with anybody with COVID-19, and so on and so forth? If you fulfill that, then maybe it is valid for you to say that you might have the risk of having COVID-19. All right. Oh, by the way, I forgot to test. Is my voice clear? Because I set my microphone sensitivity a bit different here. Right. But yeah, so far you do get me, right? You have to have a definition to guide you for validity. Or for example, let's look at the one thing that we all do every day, Salat, all right? So the very definition, okay, thank you guys. Okay, so the very definition of Salat is that it is a series of actions that begins with Takbiratul Ihram and ends with Salam, all right? And there are, of course, the 13 arkan or the 13 rukun for salat. So if you don't have any one of these rukun, or if you did not start with takbiratul ihram, for example, you salat just like this straight away. Or for example, after tahiyat akhir, you just walk off. If you just do that straight away, your salat is not valid. But let's say you have done the basic 13 rukun, which I believe all of us here know, right? Then your salat is valid. But how good is your salat? That's a different matter altogether. Okay, another thing about, let's say, validity, all right? Now, what makes you an IIUM student? Can you just simply say that, oh, that guy reads the Quran at the masjid, ni mesti budak UAE? That's not a valid claim. What are the signs that that person is a UAE student? Maybe because you wear, let's say, for example, you found somebody wearing a white tudung on Wednesday. Is it valid for you to just say, ni budak UAE lah ni, tudung putih Rabu? Not really as well. So some things are harder to define in terms of validity. In this case, metric card. So if you possess the UAE metric card and you are currently registered as a student, because sometimes you can be an ex-student, all right? So there you go. You guys are okay. You guys get it now, right? Now this is the very basic part. Now let's talk about what you call this validity in a research setting. All right. So imagine, for example, you guys want to do research, and let's do a research. Okay, what's your favorite drink right now at he and she? I believe most of you guys have at least heard of the food and drinks at he and she, or maybe you've tried the food and drinks there. What's your favorite food there? What, the caramel latte, or is it the matcha, or is it the croissant? What's your favorite over there? Mahal. Honestly, guys, okay, by the way, he and she did not pay me to mention them. I'm not affiliated with them. And if he and she coffees owners are watching this, please pay me some money for mentioning your name, all right? But to be brutally honest with you, I really think, yes, it might be pricey in terms of, what it is, but looking at the quality and how they actually make it and all that, that's actually affordable, believe it or not, all right? Because I've seen croissants with filling at more expensive prices, and the quality does not match he and she. All right, so actually lah, it is cheap. But again, how much money we earn and have, that's a different story altogether, right? So in relation to the amount of money we have, it might be expensive. But if you were to compare it to other what you call this, other cafes, it is what you call this, it is expensive. And that is also a concept of validity. So sometimes a different situation can make things differently valid, all right? For example, for people, if you're in this context where you're comparing the prices to other cafes of that type, if you were to say that he and she is affordable, that is definitely valid. But if you were to compare he and she to cafes currently on campus, then you can say that he and she is mahal. See? So validity also depends on other factors as well. All right? So far, can you follow me? Because validity is a very unique thing to talk about, all right? Because what is valid for one person might not be valid for another. For example, if I say that covering the hair is a must, wearing tudung is a wajib thing, is that valid? It's not valid for everybody. It's not valid for me. If I wear tudung, that is something is really wrong with me, right? But if you girls wear tudung, that is valid for you guys. So validity can also be situational and contextual over there, right? Now I'll type a situation for you guys. Right? Let's say I'm doing research and somebody mentioned about the hazelnut croissant. Ooh, that's really nice. And I believe maybe, by the way, the matcha, that's really nice, yeah? So let's say he and she's matcha makes CFS IIUM students more active and more intelligent. Ta-da! Okay, this is just a hypothesis, by the way. Okay, just an assumption. No, this is not a fact. Don't quote me. Okay, Husna tak faham. Which part don't you understand, Husna? Okay, by the way, I will slow down if anybody is lost. So please let me know if you're lost. No, no what? Oh, you disagree with my statement. It's okay. That's just a statement, all right? That's not a fact, what I just typed there, right? Husna balas cepat. Okay. All right. So, let's say, for example, all right, we have this sample situation. You want to do a study, you want to do a research on this. Is it true that he and she's matcha makes CFSI students more active and more intelligent, right? And then suddenly in your research, you ask, okay, hold on, who's now? Let me explain this part first, right? I need to finish this part, then you'll get where I'm getting at. Yeah? Okay, so let's say, for example, for example, this is the research that you want to test. You want to test how true this is. And then you went and gathered, let's say, maybe 10 participants, all right? And then from these 10 participants, you went ahead and asked them, hey, do you like ice cream? And they answered, yes, we like ice cream. And then suddenly you make a conclusion, therefore the matcha makes students more active and more intelligent. Is that valid or not valid? It's definitely invalid. Why? Because you tested and you asked something else, but then you made a completely different conclusion that is not related. Okay, Afik, no problem. You can share laptops and share devices. Just let me know so I can check, yeah? So you see, one thing about validity is sometimes we like to say, oh, we have done our research, therefore it's valid. But what is it that you actually quoted? What is it that you actually tested? Sometimes people try to make relations that are not connected at all. And then they say, oh, we have this source, and then therefore we are valid. But having a source or having an evidence does not guarantee validity because sometimes your evidence or your source or your test might be completely unrelated to your research, all right? For example, let's say let me give another statement, right? Let's say, for example, CFS IIUM students are happy with the Wednesday dress code. You know what the Wednesday dress code is, right? For guys, you're supposed to wear a necktie, and for girls, you have to wear your white tudung. So you did a survey in campus, and then you asked them, hey, do you like the mahala? And they say, well, we are okay with the mahala. And then from there, you said, see, they like the mahala. Therefore, they are happy with the dress code. Not related, right? It's false. It's a false causation there. So this is when it's not valid. But, let's say if your topic is this, you want to see whether people are happy with the dress code or not. And then you asked 50 students in UAA, hey, are you guys happy with the dress code? And you found that 90% of the students are not happy with the dress code. They wish they can just wear any color. And then in your research, you concluded UAA students are probably not happy with the dress code. Can that be valid? Definitely, because your question or your evidence is related. So far, does that need extra explaining, or do you want me to re-explain that part? Now, oftentimes, and I'm very sad to say this is something that you actually find a lot in Islamic society and sometimes even in some religious classes. For example, some people say, okay, agama ni adalah penting untuk bidang ekonomi. Okay, fine, that is true. What is your evidence? Oh, sebab dalam Quran it cakap kita kena bertakwa. Like, taqwa is taqwa, economy is economy. People want evidence that relates economy to Islam, not don't talk about taqwa here, right? So that's the thing about validity. But you find a lot of these speeches or sometimes even khutbahs which have the potential to be super valid, but then they get you evidences which are not valid at all. All right, so be very careful about making what I call a false causation or false relationship between the factors and variables. All right, so far do you understand the concept of validity? Because if you guys understand it, I want to move on to reliability, and then only then I'll talk about the types of it. Right? Any questions, guys? So Farhani, yes, you understand, or yes, you have questions? Am I too slow or am I too fast? No questions. Okay. So let's talk about reliability. Okay, reliability is about consistency. So this is how it works, all right? Let's say you want to do an experiment, okay? And let's change the situation. And normally I'm the one who makes the questions for validity and reliability. So I can easily like come up with the questions on the spot. So let's say, for example, okay, I believe all of you know Milo, kan? And the tagline of Milo is Milo menjadikan Anda sehat dan kuat. So let's do a test. Maybe Milo makes CFS IIM students sehat dan kuat should be healthier and stronger. So you want to test whether or not this statement is true or not, all right? So let's say you have 10 people who want to volunteer for this experiment, okay? So you give these 10 people 3 cups of Milo a day, and each cup has maybe 200 milliliters of Milo. All 10 of them get 3 cups a day, 200 milliliters. That is what you call a consistent and reliable research. But if, let's say, one person only gets 1 cup, the second person gets 4 cups, the third person suka hati kau lah 1 cup ke half cup ke, and the fourth person follows the rules strictly. If everybody has a different portion, that research is not reliable because it's not consistent, it's not fair. All right, let's say for example in class, okay, let's say if I'll take a random, let's say Aimi, okay, let's say I only told Aimi what came out in the exam and I didn't tell the rest of the class what's coming out. Is that reliable? And then let's say when the results come out and Aimi gets the highest, are those results reliable? Can you trust those results? The results are not fair. They're not reliable because only this one person knows everything before other people. We have to be fair as well. Okay, sorry, I may just use your name as an example because that's the first name I saw on my list here. All right. So reliability also has to do with trustability. All right. And I think in statistics, you might cover this a bit actually. All right. Okay, so far, is that clear? Because I know in the book there's a lack of examples and explanations. Somehow they removed a lot of it from the book, when in fact this is one of the more important parts. Sir Anis and Naim. Okay, no problem, Anis and Naim. Clear, right? Okay. Now let me see. I have a question to show you guys to illustrate how this whole thingamajig works. All right. Or maybe I should talk about the types of validity first, actually. Okay, hold on. Let me just set this up. Alright, okay, there's my file. Just give me a second. Because one thing is, it can be a little bit challenging if you cannot imagine what's going on. Why am I mentioning all of this stuff, right? Okay, now let's talk about internal validity, okay? So internal validity is within the setting that you are studying or doing research on, okay? So let's say you are doing a study in CFS, all right? And you found that in CFS, this is valid. You know, you give UIA students a CFS, you give a CFS UIA students Milo, and then in 3 weeks you found they actually became stronger and healthier. Okay, don't worry, Alia. So and you found that they are stronger and healthier, then you can conclude in UIA that UIA students become healthier and stronger. Thus, your results are internally valid, meaning to say that it is valid for that particular setting and situation. But it's not valid yet for other people. Why? Because you haven't tested it. So if you guys remember what we covered way back in chapter 1, right? We learned that one of the characteristics of research is that good research, is generalizable, meaning to say that the results can also be applied to other settings and other situations if it's a very, very good and applicable research. Then again, not all research can be applied to other situations, okay? But in general, research can be generalizable. So external validity is when you start taking this research and you try to do this research somewhere else to see if you will find the same situation. So right now we found that, the Milo, okay, that Milo makes URA students healthier and stronger. Maybe there are other factors that make it work there. Maybe because there's a lack of transportation. Maybe that's why it makes you healthier. So you do this same study on maybe UITM students. All right. So if let's say you do the study somewhere else and you found the same results or similar results to the original setting, if that is the case, then the results are now externally valid. Okay, am I clear here? Or do you need me to re-explain that? Here. Okay, now to illustrate that, I'm going to show you guys a sample question, yeah? Okay, can I repeat it? Fine, sure. So now, good research has to be generalizable, meaning to say that you can apply the results and findings of one research to understand phenomena and problems in another situation or setting. Because if a research can only be applied in one setting, unless that setting is really really important or whatever it is, it can become very very selfish research. All right, so let's say, for example, you did a test on whether or not Milo truly makes URA students stronger and healthier. And you found that it does make URA students healthier and stronger. but that is only internally valid for CFS. All right. So you then did the same test, the same experiment on maybe UITM students or USM students and UKM students. So if your results are externally valid, you will get the same results in the other universities as well. Okay, however, here's one thing, just because something is not externally valid doesn't mean it's wrong. Why? Because if, let's say, it is internally valid, but it is externally invalid, it is externally invalid probably because in those other areas there are other factors. Maybe their workload is very heavy, that's why the Milo effect is not strong, or maybe they have other energy drinks, maybe, or maybe the culture is different. I'll give an example, right? Some people say that, taking in a deep breath like that helps you relax. This might be internally valid in one place because in that one place their culture is very relaxed, so naturally it's easy to relax. Whereas maybe if you try testing it in another place, they have other factors that might make it externally invalid. All right. So just because something is externally invalid doesn't mean that the research is bad yet. Okay. Now to show you guys examples of how this will be tested, I will show you guys. Hold on a sec. Alrighty, there you go. So, yeah, there you go. So I'm showing a sample question here, and I'll just drag this and make it big here. That's very big, right? Okay, look at the first question there, right? So Professor Nursia gave an exam on Monday. On Wednesday, she gave the same class the same exam. So Professor Norcia was assessing the exams: A. Reliability, B. Validity, C. Ecological validity, and D. Internal validity. Which one is it? We just learned this just now, so you guys can probably answer this. Okay, Saif. Okay, Saif and his friend said D. That's why there's three times. How about everyone else? Hmm? Are you guys sure it's D? Are you guys sure it's D? Are you all really sure it's D? Because the answer is actually A. And why is the answer actually A? Because she is giving the same class, the same exam. She's doing it again. She wants to see the consistency of things. Ooh, this is interesting. So you guys actually didn't detect the difference between reliability and validity yet. Yeah, let me find another question. So yeah, guys, the answer is actually A. Remember, validity is how correct something is. Reliability is how consistent something is, all right? Because in this case, Professor Nursia wants to see, ingat kelas 9 tadi? What do you mean? Oh, kelas lain. What? Kelas lain? What do you mean? Read the question very carefully. She gave the same class, the same exam. Yeah, Saif, who is Ain? Okay, never mind. Freudian slip, huh? If she gave a different class the same exam, it is still reliability. That would be external reliability, which I haven't covered yet. But okay, this is very, yes, consistent method. This is why when it comes to the question, well, but you're using Saif's account, so I cannot tell if it's Afiq or Atik. But there you go. So the questions for the upcoming quiz will be something like this. It's very, confusing. It's very, you have to read very carefully. You have to afik kena fit. Fitnah dosa tau. Yeah, I'll show another sample in my collection here. Maybe I'll show you this one. Oh no, this is a concept paper, not this one. Maybe this one. How is it? All right. Look at the first question, yeah? When you are worried about whether you will get the same results if you repeat your experiment again in the future, you are worried about. What are you worried about? A, B, C, or D? Guys, which one is it? Okay, Effa answered C. Anyone else? Nice. We have a khilaf ulama here. Everybody's answering different things. All right. So the answer, ding ding ding, is, what do you think is the answer? So the answer, guys, is actually C, reliability. Because you're worried about whether or not you're consistent. Can you get the same thing or not? The character here is not worried about how correct it is, but whether you can get the same thing every time. All right. Now, to illustrate this further, just to make it really, really easy to understand, okay, I'm going to get I have a good pen here. Where's my pen? All right. Now I'm going to activate my hand cam here. Hold on. Yeah, the answer is C. Okay, so I hope this. Oh, sorry. Okay, I hope this is clear. Okay, hold on a sec. All right, so now I'm gonna draw this out for you guys. All right. Now, have you guys ever played darts? You know, baling dart. Now, if you play darts, or not everybody has ever played darts, but let's say, for example, you are playing darts, you have a target to hit, all right? Let me just put this up. You have a target to hit. And when you want to throw your darts, you want to hit the bullseye, right? This is the target that you want to hit. If you hit here, there's something's wrong with you. If you hit here, you get less points. It's not the best one, right? So research, every time you do research, you want your information to be here. So if you do it many times and you manage to get here bullseye all the time, therefore your research is valid and reliable. And even as a dart player, you're a very valid player. Hey, Noel. Hey, yeah, that's my wife there. Thanks for joining. Hope your work is going well. Thanks for joining my class from afar. If sir, that's the question. You're saying that as if you're my student. Oh my god. But yeah, I have a knack for detail in questions. I mean, she has read my questions, so she would know. All right. And don't leak the questions to my students. Don't. Over my dead body. And even if I'm dead, my soul will just, you know, haunt the questions and protect it from anyone. Okay, anyway, let's talk about validity and reliability, right? So using the Sorry, I don't know why this thing is not focusing well. I think it needs to be a little bit further. All right. So let's say, right? You want to be a good player at darts. Your technique is valid if you manage to hit the bullseye, but your technique is reliable if every time you throw the darts, you get the bullseye. That is a combination of validity and reliability. And in research, this is what you aim for. Just like bowling. Okay, I mean, when you play bowling, you want to hit all 10 pins at the same time every time, strike all the time. All right. Now, sometimes, okay, some people, they are very, very reliable, but they reliably miss things. All right. For example, every time they throw darts, they will hit here. So, yes, you're very consistent. You can hit the same spot, but that's not the right spot. So, this is an example of being reliable but not valid. All right, because you're very consistent. For example, I'll give a studying as an example, right? Some of us study very hard. You study every day. You study 5 times a day. You study as much as your solat. So if you do solat sunat sekali, maybe you study 10 times a day, but you study the wrong book, or you study the wrong notes, or you study the wrong chapter. So sometimes, you're consistent, but you have invalid techniques going on. So same thing as research, You're doing your research frequently, you follow all the steps, but you did the research on the wrong matter, or you asked the wrong questions, or you did the wrong test. So sometimes, a lot of times you can be reliable but not valid at all. All right. So far, you follow? And then there are cases, let's say you try hitting the darts 10 times, all right? 2 times hit the bullseye, but the other times are scattered all over. So there is some validity here because you did manage to hit the bullseye, but you are not reliable because you are not consistent. Pretty much like our studies, there are times, where you study and you score. There are times when you study and you don't score. So maybe because you're not consistent in your studies. All right. So far, any questions about that? And then the last one, the bullseye is here, but then you hit here, 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 and on the other target, which is really horrible, right? Like you're supposed to aim for this target and you hit this target all of a sudden, right? So this is a case where you're not valid at all and you're not reliable at all. Orang suruh pergi pasar, dia pergi lepak kat apa? Taman. That's like totally wrong. All right. So there are various combinations of validity and reliability. Now, why do I mention this? Okay, I'll off my hand cam. Look at the second question because yes, we can, yes, we can combine reliability and validity in the same question. And as my wife has said, read the question very carefully. Then try and answer it. What do you think is the answer for question number 2? So a weighing scale is basically timbang, all right? The timbang you use to weigh yourself and stuff like that. So a weighing scale that consistently tells Susie that she is 115 pounds, 5 pounds lighter than she really is, every time she stands on the scale is blank, but not blank. What's the answer, guys? Take time, take time. A times 3 over the 3 of you. Okay. If I say D, what else? What else? Two times. This is very funny when you say two times. Okay, I'll give you a chance. Read the question very carefully. Okay, some said D, some said A. It's like a 50-50 over here. Interesting. Okay, jang, jang, jang. The answer is D. Why? Because the scale is reliable. It's giving the same answer consistently. All right. So the scale is definitely reliable, but the scale is not valid. However, why can't you put B as the answer? Because look at the sentence. The sentence already has not. That's my kind of trick. So, yes, the answer is D. Some people got tricked by the fact that there already is the word not in the question itself. Okay, to my wife, it looks similar until you look at the question. When you look at the question, when the word not is in the question itself, that's where the trick is. So that's why it's very important to actually pay attention to my questions because, yeah, I like to trap people at the small details. So far, are you guys okay with reliability and validity? Because we're going to go a little bit faster. And why are you guys retracting your answer? This is not WhatsApp where you guys can delete message and all that. And unlike WhatsApp, I can actually replay this whole session and I can see what your original response is before actually retracting. So it's kind of the whole answer retracting thing is kind of I don't like using the word useless, but it actually is useless here. It's kind of funny actually if you want to retract messages on Google and on YouTube's live chat. It's not the same as deleting. All right, so I assume all of you understand, so I can proceed. Technically similar for B and C. Let me see. Not valid, but not reliable. Yeah, technically B and C are similar. All right, and it's actually just to test whether the students were actually what do you call this, paying attention to the question. I have to say though that this is a kind of an evil question. All right, and jang jang jang, I did not make this one. I did not make question two because I'm not a fan of doing something like B and C through Mrs. Nasrik. Yeah, but then again, I like making questions that combine things and play with words. So just be careful, guys. All right, so I'll put this part aside. Okay, so back to our validity and reliability talk. Okay, so we're talking about internal and external validity just now. Okay, let's talk about ecological. Oh, yeah, exactly. So remember, reliability is always about consistency, all right? Like how often do you get the same results? Whereas validity is, how accurate and, whether you are on are you measuring what you need to measure? Are you on topic or not? Let's say, for example, you want to know whether people are happy with wearing a necktie. So you have to ask them about
necktie. Don't ask them about ice cream and then suddenly conclude, oh, these people like ice cream, therefore they like wearing a necktie. Don't do false causation. It doesn't work that way, all right? Okay, so now let's talk about ecological validity, which is it's a slightly fancy term. So, oh my God, noted, madam. What? All right. So to explain ecological validity, now let me explain one thing. All right. So you guys have a certain behavior with me in my class. All right. Some of you might, be comfortable being crazy. Some of you might, might use your phones in class for referring or I don't know, chatting behind. Please don't do that in my class, please. You have a certain set of behaviors in my class. All right. So to say that that is your behavior is ecologically valid because let's say one day while I'm teaching suddenly the dean enters our class, just to visit or to check. Will you have the same behavior, or will you have a different behavior when the dean enters our class? Come on, guys. Let's say, for example, we are doing our Kahoot activity in class, all right? And then suddenly the dean entered. Will you still be as crazy, or will you be very different, or very different, right? You'll change your behavior. And then suddenly all of you become super alim and suddenly like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. But can I conclude that all of you are like this? No, because some things, some validities are reliant on the situation. I'll give another example, all right? Now, in your mahala, you definitely are crazy in your mahala, right? I mean, you're probably jumping around or turning off and on the lights like a disco, or you dress up, you probably wear a kain pelikat or a baju kelawar in your room, and then you like to scream in your room maybe or dance in your room, all sorts of crazy stuff, all right? Can I say that in general you are crazy just because of your attitude in your mahala? You're only that way because it's your mahala. If you're in class, you wouldn't do the same thing that you do in your mahala. If you're outside in a shopping mall, you wouldn't do the same thing that you do in your room. Different areas, different situations, and the presence of different people can affect the way you respond. It can affect the way you behave. Let's take another example, right? Let's say, uh, yes, khusyuk is a very good thing. Sometimes the presence of people affects the way we pray. My wife gave a very nice one there. Let's say, for example, okay, you're praying in a masjid. Suddenly, your family members are near. You be like, alamak, mak aku sebelah tu. Okay lah, Allah Akbar. Then suddenly baca kahfi and all that. You will be totally khusyuk compared to, let's say, for example, if you go to the surah with your friends. 4 rakaat, 2 minit dah habis. Kan? If you're super khusyuk because you want to impress some people, first rakaat je dah 5 minutes. Right? So there you go, okay? So ecological validity, the way we do things are affected. And likewise, the way you answer things as well. For example, let's say there's a research on your satisfaction level with, let me give some situation. Let's say there is a research done on your satisfaction level with the guards, okay? The guards. And then the one doing the research and collecting the answers and interviewing you are the guards themselves. Will you tell the truth direct in the guard's face, or will you macam tu je? Some of you might not give the most honest answer because you might be scared. But let's say somebody else, not a guard, but maybe a researcher or a friend asked you whether or not you're happy with the guards. You will give a different answer, right? Or maybe let's say about the fellow in the mahala. So you want to do a research on how effective the fellows are. But if the fellow sendiri tanya, unless it's a very super sporting fellow, you wouldn't tell the truth, right? You feel like, you want to save face, jaga air muka and all that. So you see, the situation changes things. So this is ecological validity. So sometimes things become invalid because of the situation. The situation forces you to act a different way. You rasa kekok and all that. Am I clear here? Because I know that in the book, the explanation can be very, very. I know the books. This chapter, I'm not sure how that part was edited. To be honest, right? So far you guys are clear, right? So that is ecological validity. Now, the last part, which I really am sorry to say this, it got accidentally deleted from the book. Don't ask me how, is time validity. Okay, what is time validity? Certain things are only valid at certain times. If it is not the time, even if you do it correctly, it is not valid. For example, all right, let's say I want to perform my solat right now. What solat? I want to perform solat zuhur. So I start with takbiratul ihram. I have my 4 rakaat, baca fatihah, baca surah, baca pun sedap lancar, and then I end it with salam. So I perform my solat zuhur right now. But is that solat zuhur valid? No, because because this is not waktu zuhur. Yes, it's waktu duha. Thank you, Atik. All right. This is the time for duha, not the time for zuhur. So zuhur is not up yet. Or let's say, for example, suddenly somebody goes to the surau and prays 2 rakaat with doa kunut. Meaning to say, yeah, he or she missed subuh. So while it was done correctly, it's valid in terms of how you do it, but in terms of the time, it's not valid. Or another one, let's say tonight, suddenly I said, okay, nawaitu saum Ramadan anadai fardu syahr Ramadana hazid. I buat niat puasa Ramadan. And then tomorrow I say, okay, tomorrow I want to do Atik has prayed dua just now. Wow, alhamdulillah. I hope that's real, all right. Okay, let's say for example, what you call this? I want to perform my Ramadan puasa tomorrow. All right. Is that valid? It's not even Ramadan yet. Ramadan is another like 40 plus days from now. So it's definitely invalid because Ramadan, puasa Ramadan can only be done during Ramadan. You cannot do it during Zulhijjah. And likewise, you cannot just go to Mecca now and say, I want to do Haji right now. Hajj is an ibadah that requires a certain time validity. For example, Wukuf and Arafah happens on a certain day. The Jamrah happens on a certain day. All requires a certain time. And of course, you cannot go there because of Corona, lah. And that's ecological for situation, right? So you see, you understand how it works now, right? So you have ecological validity and you have time validity. So time validity, some things are only valid at certain times, all right? For example, let's say, yeah, there you go. All right. So any questions about the types of validity so far? So I already covered yeah, I need an hour and a half just to talk about validity. That's how much there is to teach about this. And this chapter, I will slow down considerably. You might feel like previously I was quite fast because those are mostly the touch and go chapters. But chapter 7 onwards, you deal with very, very new concepts that has a lot of examples. And honestly, it's really interesting from here onwards for the subject, all right? And also, now that you've understood validity, when you are doing your assignment, you might want to read the article and try to see, the validity of the research done by the authors. Are their research internally valid or externally valid or ecologically valid, or is there time validity in their research? Now, one thing I have to tell you is time validity does not apply to everything. Some things, does not require time validity.
Some things absolutely require time validity. All right. And of course, external validity is not important for certain situations. For example, let's say because this is because culture is different for every country. So what is acceptable in one country might be completely unacceptable in another country. All right. So external validity doesn't apply for certain things. All right. Now let us talk about reliability. All right. So reliability is consistency. So, in internal reliability, let's say you're doing a survey, you want to find out if students are happy with the mahala. All right. So, if you have 50 students in your survey, you have to ask the same 50 questions. You have to ask, let's say you have 100 questions, for example. You have to ask the same 100 questions to all 50 students in order to be reliable. You cannot ask student A 10 questions and student B 20 questions and student C 30 questions. That's not fair. It's not consistent. All right. Now, of course, external is the same thing. So let's say you test it in one setting. Let's say you want to do the research in another setting. You should also ask the same questions or do the same experiment. All right. That's very easy, right? Now, ecological reliability. So let's say, for example, in the first research done, the situation is like this. In the other research, you have to have a similar situation and similar circumstances. So, for example, if there are no older people disturbing or present in the original research, therefore, do not have them in the second research. All right. And time reliability is, well, time reliability. So you do things at the same time. All right. For example, you consistently perform Salat Isha at night. You don't perform Salat Isha after Subuh. That's quite easy. So far, any questions, guys? So I have practically finished this one in an hour and a half. So slightly faster if you guys. And while you guys, think about things, I'll see if I have more questions to share with you guys. Finding a very good question can be tough because we don't ask it every semester, and if we do ask it, we usually ask it in a very different way. But yeah, we do have a tendency to mix in the types of validities or type of reliability, or sometimes we mix both internal and external, or we mix reliability and validity in the same question. So yeah. Any questions, guys? While I look for possible questions to share with you guys. Now, another example I can show is this, right? Look at the top question, question 5. This has come up quite a few times. We can ask you to differentiate validity and reliability. So make sure you know what they both are and don't get confused, because there are many semesters where the student thought that he or she was explaining validity, but apparently he was explaining reliability. They got confused between the two. It's very easy to mix up validity and reliability. Let me find other questions. No, this is not the one.
Okay, I can't seem to find the older questions that tested it because there are some questions where you only have the hard copy, you don't have the soft copy of the paper. All right, guys. So far, are you okay with validity and reliability? And yes, this will definitely be tested. Definitely be tested without a doubt. I mean, I'm making the paper and I'm saying it's coming out, so you know what to do. Because this is like pretty much the very, I would say, the very basic part of research. All right. Everyone's okay. Okay, great. Good to know that. So far, so good. Okay. I'm glad to hear that. I hope you are, because normally this is the one part that a lot of people get stuck at or they get confused and all that. Oh, you have that as well. All right. How's the assignment going, by the way? How many percent have you started? Because I already have like three messages asking me what do I mean by certain things in the rubrics. So please do let me know. Are there any parts? Okay, what's the dot dot dot? It's like the assignment you just started at the Ilham stage. What do you mean by 10%? You just turn on your laptop? Wow, that was a very good one, by the way. 10%. So for you guys, when did I promise the submission? Yeah, I know your submission is 1 month from the date I gave the assignment. Start finding article. Oh, by the way, speaking of articles, right? So I got a couple of messages from some of you. I forgot which section because some of you don't mention your name in messages. Some of you guys actually sent me like 2 or 3 articles, and then you guys asked me, "Sir, which article is better?" Now, here's the thing: there's no such thing as a better article. That's very, very subjective, all right? My tip, choose something you understand. Don't try to impress me with better articles. I'm not impressed by that at all. All right. Make sure you find articles which you can understand because you're going to comment about two things. You're going to comment about the contents and you're going to cover about the what you call that not content, you call that the writing style. Okay, so let's discuss that before we end the class. Okay, let me see, where is my rubric? Because I was explaining in a few messages earlier and I thought, like, might as well I just what you call this might as well I just show the thing rather than to everyone so it's easier, because repeating myself can be a little bit hard. Shared drive. Google Drive has really changed the way I work. I don't have to keep all the papers anymore. File. Okay, let's see. I want to share this with you guys. All right. So let's look at the rubrics together. So you're going to work in a pair, by the way. I hope both of you collaborate properly. And make sure I approve the article, okay? So you can send me the article either through WhatsApp or you can show me in real life and tell me, sir, are you okay with this article? Okay, you choose, but I will say yes or no. Okay, and when you send the assignment, make sure you attach it later on. You have to print it. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Okay, let's look at the first important part here in the rubrics. Oh, that's really big, right? Okay, so when you write your assignment, the two parts that you guys really need to focus on is, what are your views on two things? Your opinions and comments on how the author writes it and the actual content of the author. So what does this mean by, personal comments on the writing style?
So this is where your knowledge of chapter 5 really helps, which is why I urge you guys. I know you guys tried presenting in class and you found it a little bit hard to understand. You might want to read it again and try to explain to each other about it. So let's say, for example, we take the concept of cohesion in writing, right? So let's say you finally understood what cohesion is, and then when you read the article that you're reviewing, you found that, hey, actually, this article, the way he writes, does not have cohesion. All right, so you can say, you identified that this author does not use cohesion, there's a lack of transition, the punctuation was not proper, and then you start arguing and talking about it based on what you have learned. You can use information from the textbook, you can use information from books in the library on this topic. All right. And then if you see it's bad, what is your evidence that it's bad? So you have to start finding evidences from credible sources. Now, a plot twist here, and this is slightly ironic. This, I will not consider this as a proper textbook. In fact, to emphasize the point, if you read the front page, it says there student handbook. All right. A handbook is not a textbook. This is not a credible source of information. So you are not allowed to quote this book. So please refer to any ebooks online, or you can borrow books on this subject. What do you call this? From the library. So you're probably asking me, sir, what books do I borrow? You have the course outline, right? And I believe now you know how to search for books. So at the very end are, wait, where is it? Yeah, there you go. The recommended books. And you know very well that this is in APA format. We actually challenge you guys here a bit. Go to the library and find these books, because these books will help you. Trust me on this, all right? So we have listed the possible books here. And there are other books I can recommend. One of the best books written by, oh my god, it's written by an author called Cresswell. I'll type that out. Cresswell is hands down one of the pioneers in this. I think I spelled his name correctly, John Cresswell. It's John Cresswell. I'm not sure if I spelled his surname correctly. Cresswell, or hold on a sec. I'll hide that one there. John Cresswell. Yeah, that guy there. Cresswell's only one S. Okay. And another author that you might want to refer to when it comes to this subject is Earl Babby. Please pronounce his name correctly. Ba, right? Not ba, but ba. All right. Ba and ba are two different things. Okay. Plus, is a person's name. All right. Those are references. Okay, and then back to the article review rubrics. I'm gonna explain this part here. Blah blah blah. Oh, and make sure you print this as well when submitting the assignment. Okay, and then you have to write properly in a coherent manner. And then your comments about the content, the actual points of the author. So maybe the author doesn't write well, but the author actually has interesting content. So you can see that, the writing style makes it hard to understand the content, which is otherwise interesting, and so on and so forth. Then again, it really depends on the article. So, guys, choose an article that you truly can understand. And don't assume that you can understand. Make sure you truly, truly, truly can understand it, all right? Any questions about the assignment? So the submission is 7th April. So you have what? You have 3 weeks to do this. And enough time to consult me and message me and email me and so on and so forth. And then you have the awesome librarians who wants to, do things.
So guys, any other questions? Everybody okay? Hey, where's everybody? Yeah, where is everybody? That's an awesome thing. I can check who was lurking. And who was, all that. They have the settings and everything. So yeah, and by the way, you guys should actually learn to use this. This is actually really, really awesome. You think you're okay? All right. Okay, so I hope you guys are all truly okay. If you're not okay, it's not a problem. I'm ready to explain. Feel free to ask on the group. And this video, once I'm done streaming, you can find it on my YouTube channel. I will leave the video here so that you can refer to it again, all right? And if you feel that my explanation today is not the best, you can also check out my video yesterday, because yesterday I was actually also talking about the same topic with section 910, I believe. So you can check that video as well, because I sometimes give different examples for different sections based on what I'm feeling at the moment or what inspires me at the moment, right? So the time is lunchtime for most of you already. So if there's nothing else, thank you guys. I appreciate the time. All the best for the assignment, and a disclaimer, be safe, get checked if you're sick, and enjoy the holidays. Come back in one piece, do not come back in pieces, yeah? All right, so that's all for today. Thank you, and assalamualaikum. See you after the break.